In exactly 74 months, a 925,000-pound titanium Leviathan, the single most expensive object ever built by humanity at $100 billion, will deliberately plunge into the Pacific Ocean in a massive, blazing inferno. NASA isn't just letting the International Space Station die. They are actively paying SpaceX $843 million to build a specialized Hitman spacecraft to hunt it down and drag it into the atmosphere. Why destroy a perfectly functioning laboratory that orbits Earth 16 times a day at 17,500 miles per hour? And more importantly, what classified threat forced international space agencies to suddenly agree on its violent execution? Since 1998, the ISS has been our crown jewel in the cosmos. It has hosted over 270 astronauts from 21 countries, conducting mind-bending research on dark matter, quantum physics, and human biology in microgravity. Normally, when massive satellites retire, we nudge them outward into a graveyard orbit, safely pushing them away from Earth. But this is where things get strange. The ISS is too massive to push away. Instead, they are bringing it down. What I am about to reveal next explains the controversial truth behind this $100 billion sacrifice, and it is exactly why thousands of you are joining the Deep Space Secrets community every single day. If you want to uncover the cosmic truths they do not teach you in school, hit that follow button. Stay with me here, because the clock is ticking. The death sentence did not happen overnight. It started quietly in September 2020, when cosmonauts Ivan Vanner and Anatoly Ivanishin noticed a mysterious pressure drop inside the Russian Zvezda module. Using a floating tea leaf, literally, they traced a microscopic leak. Over the next 3 years, NASA instruments detected microfractures spreading like a metallic virus through the station's oldest joints. The station was not just aging. It was tearing itself apart under the stress of 150,000 thermal cycles of freezing darkness and scorching sunlight. But that was only the first symptom. Here is the real reason the ISS must be destroyed. Structural fatigue. Imagine bending a paperclip back and forth for 25 years. Eventually, it snaps. NASA engineers realized that if they lose control of the station, it would become a rogue, unguided 400-ton missile. If its orbit degrades naturally and it crashes blindly, debris the size of cars could strike densely populated cities. That is why the U.S. deorbit vehicle is being built. It will attach to the ISS, fire its thrusters, and meticulously steer it into a watery grave known as Point Nemo. Problem solved, right? But here is where it gets crazy. Not everyone agrees with this suicide mission. A growing faction of aerospace engineers and private space billionaires are furious. They argue we are throwing away $1 trillion infrastructure. Why not boost it to a higher orbit and turn it into a zero-gravity museum? Or strip it for parts to build the next generation of lunar starships? Some insiders even whisper that the sudden rush to destroy the ISS is not just about microfractures. It is about preventing hostile nations from claiming or reverse engineering abandoned tech. This affects how we see our place in the universe, and I genuinely want to know what you think. Are we making a catastrophic mistake by destroying the ISS? Should we proceed with the fiery crash to protect cities from rogue debris? Should we boost it to a higher orbit to preserve it for future generations? Or should we hand it over to private companies like SpaceX to strip for parts? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below. I will be reading and replying to the best ones in the first 24 hours. What you are about to see over the next few years changes everything about the space economy. The destruction of the ISS marks the end of an era, but it is actively triggering a massive, ruthless space race for what comes next. Without the ISS, the skies will belong to commercial space stations like Axiom Station and Blue Origin Orbital Reef. This is not just about science anymore. It is about real estate. The vacuum of space is being privatized. But the transition is terrifyingly fragile. If there is a gap between the ISS crashing and the new stations launching, humanity might lose its continuous presence in space for the first time in 3 decades. But scientists around the world are now working around the clock to ensure we do not take a step backward. Out of the ashes of the ISS, a new age of deep space exploration is rising. We are not just looking at low Earth orbit anymore. NASA Artemis generation is focusing on the Lunar Gateway, a brand new, highly advanced space station that will orbit the Moon. This is not just a lab. It is a staging ground for humanity's first crewed missions to Mars. The $100 billion spent on the ISS was not wasted. It bought us the survival guide for living in the cosmos. Every drop of recycled water, every cosmic ray deflected, and every bone density study has prepared us for what is next. By the end of this decade, when you look up at the night sky, you will not just see stars. You will see the dawn of a multiplanetary civilization taking its first real steps into the dark. The deorbit of the ISS is a historic moment, but this is not the only cosmic mystery unfolding right above our heads. In our next video, we are exposing the terrifying anomaly the James Webb Space Telescope just found at the edge of the observable universe, something that should not exist. And later this week, we are breaking down the classified military satellite that vanished from radar for 200 days, only to reappear in an impossible orbit. You will not want to miss them. Thank you for exploring the unknown with us. The death of the International Space Station is not a tragedy. It is a necessary sacrifice to push humanity deeper into the cosmos. The universe is full of secrets, and we are just getting started. Stay curious, keep looking up, and I will see you in the next one.